Hi everybody. I thought I'd make a quick video to summarize all the things that we did this week for those who are in class and those who are not able to come to class this week. I hope this video is helpful. First of all, everything is up on D2L in terms of description of assignments and the study guide assignments, the reading and study guide assignments. Please, even if you're not in class this week, please try to get this in, or you can also get caught up next week. Our first assignment, I've edited it since I originally posted it after class today, but this is our first week one assignment with Ableton. So let me talk through briefly the things that we did in Ableton to get you started. In Ableton here, you'll notice that we have a file browser, a session view, and if you hit the tab key, you'll see the arrangement view. In Live, the arrangement view allows you to assemble and create MIDI sequences and audio recordings in a similar way that a standard DAW will. The only difference really is that everything's on the right instead of on the left in terms of controls and labels and your I/O settings, which are triggerable here. You can toggle between your reverb and delay returns here, your effects returns here, and so on and so forth. Your global tools are up here: stop, record, and play. You have a tempo, you have a metronome if you'd like, and other things that we'll explain as we go. Your file browser is over here on the left. I recommend going to week one basics, downloading that compressed folder, then saving it to somewhere on your desktop, and then in your file browser go down here to add folder, and then navigate to the folder that you've created so that you can add that to your list of things over here that you can quickly access. That way you can drag and drop clips, instruments, and any other settings that you've made. From week one basics, let's load the basics 1 Ableton Live set. It will give you a short clip that's been pre-recorded or pre-sequenced. Double-clicking on the clip will show the MIDI sequence at the bottom. On the right, you will see the instrument that has been loaded into this MIDI track. Other sounds and instruments can be found from these top 3 options in your browser. We will keep the keys sound here for this example. Down here you will see that this is a basic MIDI editor, standard MIDI editor that allows you to add notes. You can double-click notes into the pattern. You can double-click them out of the pattern. You can also, alternatively, press the B key to engage the pencil tool to draw sounds into your sequence. Note that there is a grid that shows you the subdivision of the tempo. So your tempo up here is going to reflect the quarter note value for measure 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. Right? If I use the metronome, I can hear the quarter note value. Notice that also pressing the space bar will trigger the clip from the beginning. If I want to restart from the middle, I will hit Shift play. In order to make this grid bigger or smaller, from the MIDI editor I can hit Command 1 to make it smaller, and then draw notes, or Command 2 to make it bigger, or Command 3 to make triplets, The velocity contours of these events are also important. If you want to, I should step back and say Command 4 will ignore the grid. If you'd like to not quantize your MIDI events, you can hit Command 4 to undo the grid. Editing velocity contours is also quite easy. You can do so down here to create important things like crescendos and decrescendos, accents, and so on and so forth. Once you've created your clip the way you want it to, you can loop it out just like you do in Logic or any other DAW by dragging it to the right. If your loop button is engaged, it will copy everything that you've made in your clip browser here. If you don't engage the loop button, you just simply make a new region that is longer. So the loop button is important if you want this to repeat. Notice that it will repeat everything I do here. So if I want to add notes, it'll add those notes to my loop. For some reason, it's making them very quiet. As it loops, it will add. Let me take those away, get back to our original clip. Now, let's go ahead and copy and paste our clip into the other track, and we're going to put a new sound into it. Maybe we create a piano and keys sound with, let's see. I'm going to do this one with Stevie Wonder, Wurlitzer sound. And we'll solo that. Okay, so I have that sound loaded against my original sound. And so if I play them at the same time, I get that composite. I get the composite. So if I loop them out, I can get the same sorts of things. However, if I want to create some sort of counterpoint, I can do it a slightly different way. If I go down into my loop editor or my MIDI editor for my second clip, I can engage these buttons down here. If I click this button, it makes it twice as fast. And if I loop it outward, or I can double the time. So these divisors and multipliers are algorithms that will work on your MIDI sequence for you. I can invert and reverse my sequence as well. I can set up another instrument that will be a bass line. So I go up here to my bass, and I'll select Wobble Bass and drag it into this empty area here, and it'll load that instrument into this track. To make a new region, I select a couple measures and Shift Command M to create a new MIDI region. I'm going to go down here and sequence a few A's into my sequence. And again, it's making them, their velocities very, very quiet. Must be some sort of setting I have, but whatever. Simple bass line is fine. Okay, so once I create this pattern, I can loop it out, and it's now a bass line with my other layers. Lastly, I'm going to create a drum pattern with my 909 core kit. We'll load it into a region here. And when I make a MIDI region here, I get a drum editor, and I'm going to do kick and snare. And again, it's making it very quiet. Right, so once I get my loop created, I can drag this out. Now notice too, I can elongate or longer or shorten my loop by affecting these arrows here. And let's say I want a closed hi-hat on 16th notes. I can do this to drag them out. Oh, those are 30 seconds, excuse me. Let's do that as 16ths. Oh, I have the... Excuse me. I had the triplet feature added. So, like that. All right, so now I've got a drum pattern. Sorry, for some reason. There we go. Now if I loop this out, I now have 4 layers to my sequence, and if I want to adjust the volume of any of these things, I can adjust them here by dragging and dropping this one. All right, I'm going to stop this video, and in the next one I'll go on to how do we make this a performable set after making your basic loops and MIDI editing in Ableton.